Best lead generation methods for realtors to 3x your production. In today's episode, we're going to talk about maximizing every listing that you have.
Welcome to the Open Books Podcast, where we discuss all things real estate, helping you take the road less traveled to real estate success. I am your co-host, Curtis Haddock, alongside Casey Tudor.
Hello.
And it's just us today, buddy.
Yep, no Brooke Massey.
No Brooke, she's not feeling well. She must have been, we usually don't like to reveal like when we record this, but she must have been out celebrating too much from the Thunder win,
That's right.
I had to rep today with my championship hat.
That's cool. I love it. Take note, everyone.
Yeah. Take note of what?
OKC Thunder are champions.
Yeah, they are.
It is really exciting, man.
Super exciting.
It really is.
Yeah. So now
our city is just exploding.
Yeah, and I think that for years to come, they are going to be the team to beat.
Yeah, and I think if you guys don't know Sam Presti's story, it's pretty cool. You should go read about him. He's a pretty neat guy.
I was on some. I'm on a bunch of basketball group pages, know, and so I see all these different comments, and whenever someone talks about Sam Presti and the genius that he is, and how he's the best GM in all of basketball, which I would 100% agree with that as somebody who follows Denver and the GMs that they've gone through and how terrible that they are. Like the Thunder. Like, I don't know if the fans realize how good they have it having Sam Presti at the helm of all of this. But there's a bunch of people on the outside looking in that don't recognize him as one of the best because he's never won it all. Right. Until now. Mm-hmm. So now that he's won one, I think that it's hard to say he's not the best. Because when you do it in a small, you got to realize in small, when Denver won it, they were only the third team post NBA ABA merger to win it from an original team from the ABA. Oh, nice. And I don't know if Seattle was one of those original teams or not, but the point is that small market teams do not win the championship very often. Right. And so it's pretty cool. I saw a thing when David Stern. Nobody cares about this that's watching.
Oh yeah, well everyone in Seattle that's listening is turning it off.
Yeah. Sorry guys. And David Stern, when he was the commissioner, there were I forget how many years they said he was the commissioner for, but there were 8 different NBA champions. Wow. And that was I think that was over like 30 years. Okay. Something crazy. Adam Silver, he's only been doing it for 12 years, and there's been 9 different champions. So David Stern was holding up a sign that said dynasties, and then Adam Silver held up a sign that said parity, which was it's pretty cool. I mean, 9 different champions in 12 years. Yeah. I think that's really, really cool. And then as a Thunder fan, you're like, well, I wouldn't mind one dynasty right now.
I know. Well, maybe we're the first small market to ever have one.
Yeah, of all the Spurs, I don't know if that's a small market. It's smaller. Yeah. Right. And they would be the closest thing, I think, because Miami's huge, Chicago's huge, LA, huge. Golden State is a big city, big market. Mm-hmm. And I say Golden State, San Francisco, I guess. Yeah. I don't know.
We could probably talk about this forever.
I know.
But it's important because stuff like this makes your city better, and it's going to help us in real estate.
100%.
Even just conversations with your clients. Like I was having some tough deals, and we at least the conversations are very difficult to have. But yeah, we could kind of end it with Go Thunder, and just made it better. It was nice.
I met with a client the other day, and it got awkward, where nobody was saying anything, and so I was like, "Hey, did you watch the Thunder games?" And then that just opened up the whole conversation. It was pretty cool. Well, today, we're talking about strategies to 3x your production. Yes. Right? Specifically related to listings. And the first thing we're going to talk about is how to host strategic open houses. And key word there is strategic. Right. Because I think most people hear the word open house and The majority of agents are like, that's a waste of time. It doesn't work. My biggest pet peeve, since we're in multiple markets, is when people try to use their market as an excuse to say open houses, it doesn't work. And it's like, you realize that people in our market say open houses don't work too.
Yeah.
I mean,
excuses are the killer of your
everywhere.
business.
It's everywhere. So strategic open houses, if you run open houses the right way with the right intention, you're going to get business.
Right.
Second, we're going to talk about how to leverage your sign calls and online inquiries, people that are reaching out about your listing. You want to convert those into leads. And if you do that, guess what? You're going to increase your production. It's pretty simple. You just need to know how to convert when they call or when they reach out to you, right? And then lastly, we're going to talk about different farming strategies, just listed, just sold opportunities, neighborhood marketing, things like that, and how to take over, different areas of your market. And I always tell people, if you could get, 50 listings, instead of having them scattered out, you want them as close together as possible, if you can do that, because you're gonna get recognized by a lot faster, because people are gonna see your name so often, as opposed to, I mean, imagine if you had 50 listings, but they were spread out all of Oklahoma, right? You're gonna have them in different towns. Like you have one listing, no one's gonna know who you are.
Yeah. And then you're gonna have 3 buyers in 3 different parts of the city, and you're gonna be driving all over the place.
Yep. And then, but if you could get them all in Oklahoma City, that's better, right? But then if you can get them all in the same neighborhood, even better. So the closer together you can get them, the better it is for your brand recognition and for getting more leads and referrals. Because if you have all of the listings in a neighborhood, someone who has never heard of you, doesn't know you, nobody sent your name to them, they're going to think that they're making a mistake if they hire someone that's not you, because everyone else in the neighborhood is doing it.
Or if they have trouble selling, they might be calling you next.
And it's like, what do my neighbors know that I don't know about this person?
Yeah.
So those are the things that we're gonna talk about.
Awesome.
Today. So let's get right into it.
Okay.
Hosting strategic open houses. You're pretty good at those.
I do.
Would you say? You're not the best.
I say I'm not the best, but I still make a really good income from them. Even though I don't pick up clients every weekend. But I don't think the expectation, I don't think you can always pick up clients every weekend.
No.
Depends what market you're into.
No, I don't. I mean, maybe the best of the best can get a client every weekend, but even then, I think that's stretching it. I always said for myself, if I could get 1 client a month, totally worth it.
Yeah.
And I always do the math in front of our agents to figure out how much money you're making per hour, to show them how, it's like, is open houses worth it or not? And it ends up being like $250 to $350 an hour.
Yep.
Depending on how often you convert people at your open houses.
Right.
If you do it once a month, okay, that's 8 hours of open houses. You got to add in drive time of an hour for each of those. That's another 4. That's 12 hours. The average transaction, I think, is like, 25, 30 hours, let's say. So now you're at 12, let's say 30, 40, 42 hours. Plus the open house prep time, let's say a couple hours per open house. That's 4. So that's 8 more hours. So that's 50 hours. All right.
Yep.
And if I'm
going to add some up while you do this.
Yep. If you take, let's just take a $250,000 property times 3%. And let's say you're on an 80% split. That's $6,000. And it took you 50 hours to get it.
Okay.
Okay. So I was off. It's $120 an hour. Now, I tell agents, what job, if you were to quit real estate today and go get a job, what job can you go get that's going to pay you $120 an hour?
Not many.
The problem is agents don't believe in themselves, or they don't believe that they're actually making $120 an hour, because nobody's cutting them a check for the hours of work. You don't get paid until you get the results, and the 30 hours, like the 50 hours is spread out over the course of a couple months, but at the end of the day, if you just account for the hours worked on that open house, that's conservative, I think, because I think you could pick up people. I think you could pick a couple people up a month if you really did it right.
I think people have to. I think the biggest thing that people have to take away from today is that none of this is going to just happen overnight, and it's going to take practice, and you have to be willing to analyze and bring an outside perspective. For example, if you are saying, hey, Curtis, I've been sitting in open houses for 6 months and I've never picked up a client. Well, that doesn't mean they don't work. It means you're missing something.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way they need to look at all these activities. If they're not working, you're missing something. It's not that they don't work. So then you need to talk to your mentor, your coach on what is it am I missing?
Yeah,
is it because I'm not sitting enough? Yeah. Am I not getting contact information? Am I not connecting? All those things. But I added up some commissions from one listing that I had. And of course, we're a smaller market, so people in California will be like, "Ooh, I'll make that in one listing." Okay, congratulations. But
try it out here.
This is still good. I had a listing, by the way, which was my third listing from the same person within 2 years, because he sold off 2 rentals and then their personal home to build a bigger house. Mm-hmm. And so with that listing, I made basically $30,000 in commissions from that one open house that I did, because I picked up a buyer there that also needed to sell, and she also referred me to her mom. And then of course I closed that listing as well to a different buyer. So
that was one open house, and how many transactions was that?
3, 4, including the listing, it's 4.
Okay, so if we're conservative, we'll say it's 50 hours we figured out for the open house with the transaction, and then you're going to have 3 other transactions at 30 hours a piece. That's 90 hours. So that's 140 hours in. You made 30 grand. So you're at $214 an hour.
Nice.
Because you sat that open house. And the other thing is that the week before, you may not remember, the week before that open house, did you pick up a buyer or a seller?
Wait, what?
The week before that open house that you're talking about, do you know if you picked up a buyer or seller?
I don't remember.
I wish that you could say just say no.
No, I did not.
Yeah, of course you didn't. Yeah. You don't pick them up 2 weeks in a row, dude.
That's right.
But my point is that you don't pick somebody up, then a lot of people say, well, then I'm going to take the next week off. Mm-hmm. You don't know when that person is going to walk through the door that's going to be the one that leads you down a road to make 30 grand over the next few months.
Yep.
And it sounds like, I think it goes back to our mindset and just limiting beliefs. And I think that a lot of agents think, well, that's good for you, Casey.
Yeah.
But that'll never happen for me. Well, it won't if you don't consistently sit them.
Right.
When you got started in real estate, how often did you take off and not sit open houses?
I sat every weekend.
Still to this day, right?
Yeah, probably a little less, but I'd still say 75%, 80% of the time I'm sitting.
I tell people, if you're new, you should be sitting in open house every weekend.
Or every Saturday and Sunday. What are you doing?
Right.
I mean, aren't you trying to change your life? I don't understand it.
I don't get it. Well, because it's hard to change your life, Casey.
But then they call me and go, hey, how can we get leads? I'm like,
yeah.
Really?
How do you do what you do?
But I think to be fair to them, I think in the beginning, I needed to hear it more than once. I needed someone to drill it into my head. Like, are you sure this works?
Yeah.
So I'm okay doing that. But at some point, it's like, you need to quit saying that, because you're justifying not doing it.
Yeah, that's all you're doing.
You're not seeking understanding.
Making excuses, and again, I just in a belief, and I think too that a lot of mistakes that I personally see agents make is like how to run an open house, because everyone in the industry is taught a certain way, and it gets passed down to all the different agents. And one of the things that we teach and initiated was just getting rid of your sign-in sheets. Mm-hmm. And if I don't know how many furniture stores the people have in their markets or whatever, where they got the salesmen that just follow them around. But here in Oklahoma, we got them all. Any furniture store you walk into, then you got someone who's jumping on you to say, hey, how can I help you? Mm-hmm. What are you looking for? Let me show you around. You know, they're trying to get their commission and all that kind of stuff. Well, no, everyone jokes how they hate it. They don't like it.
Yeah, you can't imagine that piece of furniture in your living room whenever the salesman's telling you how nice that couch is.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
well, that's why I'm here, because I'm looking for a nice one.
And I want the freedom to be honest and look at my options. I don't want to be pressured into committing. If I tell you, yeah, that's nice, I don't want you to try to sell it down my throat. I want to be able to go to the next one and see and compare.
Yeah.
And I just want time to think.
Yeah, I want to lay on it. I want to lay on it and pretend I'm taking a nap without him laying down in my ear going, "How's your nap going?"
Exactly. Well, open houses are pretty much the same thing.
It is,
and you're like, and you're telling people like you're getting their information too, and you're trying to get people to sign in and give you their personal private information, their email, their cell phone number, and they know what you want it for. It's not so that you can tell the owner how the traffic that came by.
Yeah,
because you could just check. Hey, someone came by.
Well, how about you just tell the seller for me?
Yeah,
if that's what you want.
Yeah,
like, isn't that your job?
Yeah, and I'm just like, it just blows my mind how people run their open houses, and then they wonder why it's not working. But I mean, first thing is just get rid of your sign-in sheet.
Yeah.
So if you're a seller doing it on your own, that's even a totally different thing. I mean, because we do them to pick up buyers and sellers.
Right.
If you're a homeowner and you're trying to sell your house and you're doing it for sell by owner, and you're going to do like, I don't know how valuable an open house is going to be for you.
Sure.
Because it's very rare for someone to walk through an open house and then you just sell it. It happens, but typically the agent is going to still bring their buyers.
Yeah, even if they come through their open house, like, yeah, we're gonna get with our agent and we'll call it.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing about all the activities that we teach in real estate is, if I had to give a 30-second coaching session for someone on open houses.
I think I know what you're gonna say.
You do?
I think, I don't know.
It is obviously know the area, know the listing, connect with people, and get their information so you can follow up with them and find out where they're at in the process and find out what they need next. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't have their contact information, you can't follow up, and you cannot convert them as a client.
And if you don't connect with them, they're not going to give you their contact information.
Right. And if you don't know anything about the process or the market, then that's going to be hard too.
Yeah. How are you going to connect with them?
Right.
It all goes together. And I think that if you can find a way to build rapport and connect with people before you try to get their information, it's going to change. It's going to change the game for you and your open houses.
Yeah, we got good advice once from Jasmine when we worked with her, and she was like, the way I approach open houses is those clients are asking me for my number before they leave. And I was like, oh, okay, I never really thought about it like that. But that's what you want.
Yeah, you want them to say, hey, you have a lot of information, a lot of knowledge. I need you in this process.
Or can you let me know when that house is coming on the market you told me about?
Yeah. That's
pocket
actually
listings.
That's a great way to look at it. If you make that your goal. Now, don't just let them walk out if they don't ask you for your information.
Yeah, you got to find a way.
Yeah, but you still got to reach out and ask them.
Well, even if you have to get their contact information, the same thought behind it is they're willing to do it because
the service you gave and how you spoke to them and all that. So yeah, I think just connecting and having good conversations and being knowledgeable, I think those are all key to hosting a good open house, and stop worrying about all of the little bitty things that people tell you to do. You should only worry about making a connection. Mm-hmm. That's it. Serving these people to the best of your ability, making sure that they know that you're there, and without being desperate for the commission.
Right, I agree.
Because if you people can smell commission breath, it's kind of just obviously if saying, I can't think of what I'm trying to say, but you don't want to have commission breath,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And it's hard because if you're desperate for a commission, that's really hard because it's like you want to try as hard as you can.
Yeah.
But when you don't need the commission is when you get more commission because you're more relaxed and you're like, I don't care if this person walks out or not, or doesn't give me their phone number because I don't need it. I'm already doing well. And
Exactly.
and that's when all of a sudden you start getting more and more numbers.
It's like when you're younger and you're single, no one wants you.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah,
then whenever
yeah.
you
Start
get
dating
hooked
somebody,
up, they're just like
all of a sudden they just start flocking to you.
Yeah,
or
and
like
you're
I think your confidence goes
your
up.
confidence,
You know?
and you're not thinking about it. So you're just being you, which
Yeah.
is what you were supposed to do in the beginning, and you would have attracted the people you wanted to attract.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden I'm like asking for all these numbers, and that's why I got in trouble. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I mean, they just gave their numbers to me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's how you should approach it.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, but seriously, yeah. Absolutely. It all work. I mean, courting and relationships all work the same way.
It is very, very interesting, the similarities between that. So a little spot for one of our old episodes from swipe right to move in ready. Is that what it is, or swipe left to move in ready? I can't
Swipe
remember.
right to move in ready.
Yeah, go watch our previous episode. The parallels of dating and relationships and real estate.
Yeah.
And relationships. It's eerily similar.
Yeah.
All right, so you want to move on from open houses?
Yeah.
Or is
So
there anything else?
sign calls and social media, basically social media sign calls.
People
is
reaching
what I
out,
call
sending
them.
messages. You know, I mean, to me, you want people to inquire about your listing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like that's a lead. That's the best thing. That's the whole point. One of the points of getting listings is because you want to generate 2 or 3 sales off of every listing that you have.
Yep.
And you do that through open houses and then sign
Right.
calls.
I've seen a
or
huge
inquiries.
shift from sign calls to social media inquiries, and I still get some sign calls, but I mean, it's like very random.
It is random, and I think the sign calls that I've received are like renters or
Yeah.
subject to like investors or something.
But it's like, how bad do you want it? Because, and of course, when you start making money and closing deals, you naturally will fall off that, and like, because I'll see the same thing. I'll get a text, be like, more information on this. And it's like, or, hey, I see a property on 23rd Street. Can you tell me about it? And that's all the text is.
Yeah, it's
and I'm
like-
like, man, I'm not wasting my time with this person.
yeah,
Which-
I do. I will get more information first.
Yeah, you
but-
should definitely. Yeah, and that's my point. Is like, especially if you're hungry, like you should call that person and find out again what's the next step in their home buying journey. And then if you do the weekly email, you grab their email, and now even if you don't have good successful conversations with them, now they see an email from you once a week.
Yeah,
At
and one day,
very least.
yeah, and then one day they might reach out because you've been emailing every day, or every week, I should say. What are some of the things that? Okay, so you see more social media. Like, do you get very many texts from people?
Yeah, I feel like I get more texts than calls on the sign calls. On social media, what I've noticed, the transition has been, my clients do this too. They scour the internet for listings. It's like they're literally looking for that unicorn.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not on the MLS, it's got to be somewhere else.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah,
go on
yeah, yeah.
Facebook, and it's like, well, everything that's on Facebook is also generally on.
Yeah.
I mean, unless it's like a for sale by owner group or
Yeah.
one of those. But, speaking of that, that's kind of the shift that I've noticed that's been really successful for people is you can take not only your listing, get permission from another agent and get their listing, and you put it on Facebook. And we've had a huge need for, debt to income is high, especially now, with the way how everything's so expensive. So there are third-party financing companies out there that can help people transition from where they're at, if they're renting or living with their parents, into a home that they can now put a plan together to purchase that home from that third-party lender. And we're not going to get into how all that works on this episode, but it's filled a huge role. So whenever you say third-party financing on social media, on that listing, then you get calls coming in from that, and these are leads that aren't in the actual market they're not working with the realtor yet. They've just assumed they can't buy, so they're looking for third party financing or owner financing, and then that's kind of where, to me, sign calls have transitioned to.
Tell me, what would you say when somebody reaches out to you? What are the things that you say to people?
I mean, in general,
to try to convert
they're going to ask me about the house, so I'm going to answer their questions. It's pretty typical, even if it's on the listing. It's, hey, what's the square footage? How many bedrooms is it? And what you want to do is then turn those questions into questions for them. So they say, hey, what's the square footage on this? When you say it's 1830, do you think that square footage is going to work for you in your situation? Or how many bedrooms is it? Oh, that's got 4. Do you think that's enough for you in your needs? And no, 3 is really, it's okay, but 4 would be better. Oh, you need that for some kind of like flex space. And then you just keep asking them questions and keep that narrative going. And once you kind of get it back and forth and they're not on like a defense mode, because it's crazy how sometimes people will call me and be a jerk.
Oh yeah, it's
like,
great. Yeah,
they're like, I'm like, hello, I didn't call you. You called me, and I'm just trying to help you.
Right. Yeah.
And but anyways, once you get that, this is how it always works. So once you get dialogue going, oh great, so a 4-bedroom is
between
perfect.
The real buyers and the
and it's like they're like, so this one is at an Edmond schools. Is that important to you? Oh yeah, we have to be in Edmond. It has to be Edmond Memorial. Okay, great. So how old are your kids? Start having a conversation with them. Say, okay, so now do you need in before school starts? Yeah, we do. Okay, great. So it's it's July. I don't even know when school starts, even though I have kids. So I'll just make
it's in August. I know that.
August. Okay, so it's June now, and it's going to take 30 to 45 days to close once we find a property.
Yeah, we're getting close.
So have you been pre-approved with the lender yet? Have you talked or just asked anyone any questions? No, I haven't. Okay, great. I'm going to send you my guy's number. We need to start here, and we need to be under contract in 2 or 3 weeks so you can get those utility bills to turn into the school to prove your residency.
Yeah.
And those are the kinds of things that I do. So find out where they're at in the process by asking them questions and building a rapport.
So I think that's the natural instinct for people to go to when it comes to conversion, and that's how I did it too for a long time. I think another strategy is very, very, very similar, but reverse the order.
Okay.
And I challenge people out there to try it, because it's so natural and so easy to just answer their question that they ask, right? And so I think if you can reverse the order and ask them a question before you answer their question, then I think that you can get them opening up more in a lot of cases. So the question was, the first one you said was, well, how many square feet is that? Well, yeah, let me look it up. Like, what are you guys looking for? Like, how much square feet are you guys needing? And while I look that up, I can try to point you guys in a direction of homes that are that size.
Yeah.
And then when they'll tell you, oh yeah, we need something that's like over 2,000 square feet. Okay, well, this one you're in luck. It's just over 2,000, 2,050. Mm-hmm. What else are you guys needing? What has you looking? And then back all the questions that you started going. But I think if you give them their answer and that's all that they needed, then you run the risk of, oh, thank you, that's it, goodbye, or whatever. And honestly, when I always was curious about when people would reach out with those kinds of questions, especially when it's like literally right there available.
I know,
to them.
It's very interesting.
It's like, okay,
that's all you needed.
Yeah.
So,
like,
okay.
are you looking at it on the computer?
Yeah.
Or did you? I mean, I guess if it's a sign call, traditionally they're just driving by,
right?
So they don't have that information.
And there are still people out there that don't really use the internet. I just had a client that was 50 years old that doesn't use GPS.
Wow.
And he has an iPhone.
I was just having this conversation with my wife the other day about GPS, and GPS has become such a crutch for me that I decided I'm going to drive this day with putting my phone in my glove box. I'm not going to use GPS at all. Uh-huh. And it was the weirdest.
Yeah, it's also liberating.
ever.
Yeah.
It is pretty freeing to an extent, but it was also very eye opening to where it's like, dang, like I need to detach from my phone in some cases,
Yeah.
in a lot of ways. But I used to be like a map connoisseur, like know my directions, know where to go without doing anything, needing anything, nobody telling me, where to turn. And now I just have GPS up and tell me left, right, all
Well,
the
we're
different
literally the
methods,
last generation, being 40 or right about that age. Because when we were 16, we didn't have GPS unless you had a little bit extra money and can buy a TomTom or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, I remember using maps too and getting lost in Dallas and
printing the MapQuest out, and all that kind of good stuff. Yeah, that's fun stuff. Okay, so last is some farming methods: just listed, just sold. I think that these are probably some of the most underutilized methods because it does cost money, and
there's no guarantee.
There's no guarantee, but if you're consistent with it and do it the right way, then you're all but guaranteed to get something if you do it the right way. And I think that I think that people hesitate because anything that you got to spend money on, people hesitate, and it's hard because it's like you want to build this massive business and be a top producer. Well, I can tell you right now, like the people who are top producers, they are spending money on their business. If you just rely on making connections and building connections organically through money making activities, then you're going to hit a ceiling, and you can live comfortably.
You can still do really well doing that.
You can do really well and live comfortably, but you want to grow your business, then that's when you got to start spending money, because it takes money to make money, is the saying, right?
Yeah.
And it's just something at some point you have to consider doing for your business and putting systems in place to generate, again, more business, and also to hiring people to work on the tasks that you don't need to be working on. Just something simple as that, which is a whole nother episode that we could do. But identifying a neighborhood is the most important part of the just listed and just sold stuff. You want to have a neighborhood that has enough turnover for it to make sense.
Right.
And so whatever area you focus on, I think that you want to have 150 to 200 homes turning over a year minimum.
Right.
I think that you also want to target homes that have at least 80% LTV, so 20% or more equity if you can get that information, and then have owned the house for 5 years or more. You're going to have your best results if you focus on those, and you can set your parameters to whatever you want. I know some people that do 3 years, more than 3 years on their just listed, just sold. There's a really high end producer in Oklahoma City that does just listed, just sold, like flyers,
right,
and sends mailers out. And he also does a lot of social media, and he's very well known for making awesome videos on social media. They're high quality. They're definitely professionally done, and he's somebody who gets a lot of high dollar listings in our marketplace. Well, I was at a leads conference that he was at, and the thing that stuck out to me was, people don't realize this, but I get most of my business, those besides my relationships and the referrals that I get from my previous sales, a lot of my new business comes from sending out mailers.
Yeah.
Way more than social media.
Right.
unless you are counting again repeat and referrals. If people see me on social media, you have to ask them, like, did you see me on social media, and is that what reminded you I was in real estate, and track it that way you could. So I'm sure he gets business from it, but as far as new business is concerned, barely gets anything from social media,
Right.
which makes sense because you're marketing to your network of people that already know you, unless you do some kind of paid ad or something.
Right.
So that's the power of sending out mailers.
Yeah. I agree. It's interesting to me because people don't want to spend money on stuff, but they want free leads, and they'll pay money for free leads, which is a really interesting concept to think about.
But more money, way more.
And what people need to understand is, like, so the big guy, and I think I know who you're talking about, they all want to be this person, but yet they go and buy Zillow Flex leads or some type of buyer leads. Well, this guy isn't doing that. He's sending mailers to get listings, which make him look good and like he's got a big business going on, and he does, but like you're paying that monthly bill to get listings that you don't have to go show buyers to every single night.
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong either with like doing the lead thing and Zillow Flex and stuff, but don't just do that. You want to be multidimensional, right? You want to get listings as well, and not get stuck into just the buyer lead pool,
right? Because then you'll never become him, because you're too busy chasing buyers, which take all your time.
And you get burned out, and the whole 9 yards. But
you mentioned picking the right area. So my neighborhood in particular does not turn over very often, which is cool, which I like. But we have I can't remember. It's like 241 homes. I just looked up Valencia, which is maybe like 3 miles, 4 miles away from my house. Guess how many houses they have?
And Valencia total, I'm going to say 1,000.
16,000 is what this says.
16,000?
It's huge. I mean, it's like that's an entire
16,000 homes in that neighborhood.
44,000 acres.
Well, yeah. Well, square foot. Like it's one.
Right.
It's one city. Or
right.
One. Yeah.
115 sold in the last year. So you tell me you can't go grab 20, 30, 40 of those a year?
Yeah.
I mean, you can make your entire career in that neighborhood.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And if you send out mailers to that neighborhood, it's going to cost money, but you can't do it once. You got to do it every single, a couple times a month, but sometimes, but at least once a month. For sure, once a month. If you're going to do it more than once a month, you better make sure you're sending out different content, different material.
Yeah, and you've got 80% homeowner to 20% renters. So that means you have investment opportunities in there, investment opportunities for yourself as well, to work with investors who might want to exclusively buy homes in there.
Yeah, I mean, you could send something out to the owners of those properties and say, hey, if you are an investor and you're wanting to know when the next investment opportunity goes up for sale, and you want to have first dibs at it, let me know.
Right.
So, great. Well, anything else on that?
No, I think that's good. I think the overall theme, I mean, really on all of our podcasts, is you just got to connect with people and
do the work, man.
Do the work.
Get up, put your pants on, and show up.
There's no. I mean, we have our structure. I mean, what we teach very structured, because you have to have something to teach, but it doesn't mean it's the only way. What it means is that you have to figure out a repeatable process that's going to work for you, and you have to be able to analyze that and realize what's not working and change it.
Yeah. For sure.
But also be patient with the process.
Totally. Yeah. Totally. For sure.
Are you thinking about what you're going to say for the recap?
You're the recap.
I'm the recap?
Yeah.
Okay, well, today we have talked about open houses, how to maximize or how to 3 times your listings.
Brooke is the recap. She needs to do this.
Brooke?
Yeah, okay.
We'll wait.
Go ahead. I can do it. Do it. Yeah. I mean, to recap, to 3x your production, especially as it relates to listings, you need to do open houses the right way, connect with people, get rid of the sign-in sheet, I would get rid of flyers altogether, and because then you just hand them something and they walk out the door. Force yourself to have conversations with people, and you got to be knowledgeable about the listing, the area, the process, all of it. Leverage your current listings. When people reach out, any inquiry that you get, convert those. Those are all leads. People want leads. Well, those are leads that you don't have to pay a referral fee on.
Right.
Get them, ask them questions, build rapport with them, and just have a service mind. Talk to them in a way, like we said, where they feel like they cannot do this without you.
Right.
And then lastly, your farming methods and techniques, especially your just listed, just sold, and any mailers that you send out. It's important that you are sending the right branding and messaging when you send things out. Be very strategic with it. If you want ideas on that, reach out to us directly and we'll tell you kind of what we do. And then you also want to make sure that you are identifying the right areas with enough turnover to justify the cost that it's going to take to spend it every month over the next 6 months to a year before you start getting bites on those things. People have to see your name enough before they act. I mean, think about how often, like, you've seen an ad on social media and you're like, oh, that's interesting, but then you just keep going. I don't want to spend money right now. You see it again, and then you see it again, and then you see it again, and then finally you decide to act on it.
Right.
It's no different when it comes to follow up. You just have to stay in front of people over and over and over again. So do some of those money-making activities, and you'll be good.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we're signing off. Thanks for listening. Please like, comment, subscribe, click the bell for future notifications. And as always, if you guys have any topics that you'd like to hear us discuss, we'd be happy to oblige. Anyways, I'm Casey Tudor. This is Curtis Haddock, and
That's it.
All right. See y'all next time.